Salut everyone! I've been creating content and gaming on Linux for more than 3 years now, and there is one thing which was missing. SteamOS. This operating system is the reason why everybody is able to game on Linux right now, like such an easy way. So I decided to set myself for a big challenge, using the Steam Deck and especially SteamOS for more than 7 days as a daily driver, doing everything I do usually, but on this machine. And the goal of this challenge is really to, understand the in and out of SteamOS, like the vanilla SteamOS experience on the Steam Deck. Like you can do more vanilla than that. So yeah, this is what we're going to be talking about on this video. Spoiler alert, this was a success. Let's get into it. As always, let's start with a little bit of context. I know a lot of you have been hearing about SteamOS left and right those days. Everybody is jumping into the Linux bandwagon right now. But, right now, SteamOS is officially unavailable. What most of the YouTubers out there are mentioning as SteamOS is Basite. And Basite is quite not what SteamOS is all about. I would say that SteamOS by itself is a totally different story when it comes to the experience of an operating system on Linux. And you're going to see why. As I'm speaking today, late of February 2025, we don't have any official ISO from Valve for SteamOS. The only way to use the vanilla experience is to use the recovery image from the Steam Deck, whether on a Steam Deck itself, like I did, or on a PC which has a full AMD hardware. I'm thinking especially about the GPU, but officially, if you want to have the pure vanilla experience, well, it's gonna be on the Steam Deck. So now we cover like how to get the real like SteamOS experience. I'm going to talk about SteamOS, but a little bit deeper. So just to be clear, like this video, it won't be like really like super technical. I'm not going to, like show you everything related to the operating system right now, because I don't believe that you guys will have a real need to install SteamOS on your PC. And you will see it's more complicated than just like, like installing like any other distro actually. But I want to go deep inside like what SteamOS really is and how it could be the day it released as an ISO, an amazing operating system. So the first thing you need to understand about SteamOS itself is like it's Arch based. It's crazy, but SteamOS right now run on Arch, and it run on a specific version of Arch, which is like powered by the RAUC project. It's called like Robust Auto Update Controller. And this is the first thing I really discovered when I started to run the Steam Deck as a main machine, is that when I look into the structure of my folder and the way the partitions were made, you literally have two different structures for two different operating systems, and there is like common partition, like the user partition, which are all mounted on a specific partition which will not be erased when you update the system. So to kind of like make it like easier to understand, you will have like operating system A and operating system B. Both of them are SteamOS, but on the latest one, you will have all the update, you will have all the modification you made, and you will have like the latest feature that Valve will push directly on your machine. And in case you broke it because you tweaked it a little bit too much or anything, you still have the opportunity to roll back on the A version of the operating system. And the partition in the user space, so all your home folder and other folder, like you're going to see the list there, those are not touched at all. So this is the Valve approach when it comes to immutability. And I have to say, I'm going to go a little bit more in depth into it, but I wanted to say to you guys, this is, in my opinion, one of the best implementation of immutability I've seen so far. And I will explain why later. When it comes to SteamOS itself, you've certainly seen a lot of video. You have to understand, like, I think, like, two really big perspectives. You have SteamOS as it's known right now, which is like Steam big picture within a micro compositor with a lot of like different integration. We'll get into that. But the idea is that you have the console approach you experience on a Steam Deck, which look like Steam big picture. And on the other hand, you have like the desktop approach, which is based on KDE Plasma 5 running on X11. So let's pedal back and talk about the approach related to the console side. The console side is Steam big picture with a specific overlay on top of it, which run automatically through a micro compositor called GameScope. I'm pretty sure you heard about it. But the experience as a user is that you start your Steam Deck and you don't have any logging screen, you have nothing, you just go directly through the Steam big picture. In this environment, you'll be able to play all your favorite game from Steam, but also you can create some shortcut to different launcher, different application. You're going to be able to launch within this GameScope session, because this is what it is. It's a Steam big picture launch within GameScope. And GameScope is also the micro compositor made by the Valve team. And it's great because it gives you like a real control on the machine. And it's actually awesome. So I know a lot of people on the internet already made the review about that, so I don't want to be like re-pushing the same type of information. But I have to say that if you look at it like really carefully through the overlay, you will see that through the GUI, you can activate some specific like Mango HUD profile. So which is pretty cool to see the different interaction in the open source world, right? You have the GUI that just like enable like profile from Mango HUD, an application which was already available, I believe, before the launch of SteamOS. So Valve has done a really good job integrating everything, right? Also, you have the opportunity to change like through the same GUI hardware settings. So you can change the TDP, you can activate HDR on the flow, you can change the frame limit, you can change the refresh rate, you can change like so many features. And those, I believe, are related to GameScope and all the options within GameScope. You can also, for example, like activate a layer on top of everything for FSR, for all the upscaling tools. They are available through the GUI via the GameScope session. And this, in my opinion, I'm going to talk about it, like it's just like flawless. My experience on the Steam Deck have been like crazy good. And now if we go back to the desktop environment, because if one day this distribution become available for all the PC users out there, just using your PC as a console can be a little bit limiting. Sometimes you want to browse, you want to install application, you want to work, you want to watch video or whatever you want to do like on your PC. It's pretty cool to do those things, right? And if you fall back to the desktop environment, you're going to find a KDE Plasma 5 desktop environment running on X11. Super important. So it's not the latest Wayland version as I speak. So you might have, some limitation. I won't be discussing those, but you know them. I believe like in the future, they're going to be pushing Wayland. But as it is right now, as I did the review, it was still on X11. And the actual interesting part here is that you're going to have access to an Immutable distro, which is, in my opinion, one of the easiest in terms of like access that I ever tried. So you can install packages, application through a lot of different package manager. The first one that come to my head is Flatpak. So you're going to have access to FlatHub, everything works flawlessly through the Discovery Store. The second way you can install application is through DistroBox. And for the one who doesn't know what DistroBox is, it is an application that helps like creating containers on your operating system. So you could have, for example, like a Fedora container running any type of Fedora app on your SteamOS operating system, which is actually pretty neat. So the third one is going to be maybe like shocking you, but you can install Nix or Homebrew in the user space. By that, I mean that every application you're going to be installing through the specific package manager are going to stay on the partition, which are not going to be erased when the full system upgrade. So let me rewind there. You're going to have Flatpak, DistroBox, Nix, or Homebrew as package manager to install your favorite apps. So it gives you a lot of options, right, out of the box, but it's not done. And this one was really surprising to me. You can also unlock your operating system with 2 lines of command and then use the repo, Arch repo from Valve directly and install your application, or install directly from the AUR. Yes, you heard it. You can install application on SteamOS from the AUR. So this was my biggest surprise. I won't lie to you. Like when I run for the first time, like the operating system, and I start to type command, and then I was like, what? Paru is already installed on the SteamOS. This is crazy. And you can like unlock the immutability of your actual like image on your actual like SteamOS install whatever you want, and even like relock it for making sure that you're gonna stay on this specific package and nothing is gonna be upgraded and everything is gonna continue to flow. I was like, whoa. So for this specific part, when you install package from the AUR and over package, I'm pretty sure they're gonna be erased on the next upgrade. But I have to say, like, I was really, really surprised, like how much tweak and how easy it was to install like multiple applications on this Immutable distro. Like, it was just great. Okay, so now I give you an overall like presentation of what SteamOS really is, whether from like, like I would say like the console side or the, desktop experience. I'm going to share with you what I believe is just really, really good in terms of usability for this operating system. So the first point I want to mention is like the console side is, to me, the best integration for gaming ever made on Linux. Like, point. There is no better way of playing game on a Linux machine, like for example, like the Steam Deck so far. Like, it is just like so good because you can transform an actual PC into a console. I've been talking a lot about Bazzite on this channel. To give you an idea, like SteamOS in the future is gonna bring this type of experience, except like you will have the original way of doing things. So this is pretty big. The second one is related to the way the immutability has been thought within this distro. When you think about other like immutable distro, like Bazzite or Kinoite or NixOS, they come with, I would say, like a lot of complexity. I do believe from a technical standpoint, they might be like more complex, maybe more like well thought, but your ability to tweak an immutable distro is really, really hard and sometimes impossible. I'll give you a quick example. Everything related to DKMS driver in the realm of NixOS or every Fedora-based distro like Bazzite, it requires you to rebuild a full ISO with your DKMS patch and then reinstall everything. There is no way for you to touch a specific part of the operating system by yourself. On paper, it's a plus, but it means that if you have a specific need, you're gonna have to wait for the dev to actually like implement your need within the distro. So one example I have is like on NixOS, we made the request of having the TKG kernel compiled within their repo, and we made the request like more than a year ago, and we never had like a positive feedback. And you know, like it can be a little bit frustrating if you like to really tweak your operating system at a certain level. But here, because you have like this possibility to unlock the immutability itself, you go into like write mode, let's word it this way. And when you do that, you can do whatever you want on the operating system. You want to install the TKG kernel on your SteamOS? No problem. You want to install CachyOS kernel on it? No problem. You want to compile? You can do everything you want. So obviously you're going to be, you know, like running Arch, like this is just Arch. But at the end, you can just relock it and go back on track. And this to me is a big game changer, right? The fact that they also provide DistroBox installed by default, the fact that they have like Flatpak also already configured, makes the user experience even like easier. So some of you guys don't want to do like this type of tweak. You don't need a TKG kernel for whatever reason. Well, you can still add your favorite application from FlatHub, and these other applications are not even here. Well, you can run a DistroBox and install everything you want. Example, you want fast fetch. Well, you just install an Arch DistroBox or Alpine DistroBox, and in there you install fast fetch. Boom, fast fetch is here for you, available, and it stays in your user space, which means you are not erasing any of your modification next time there is a big SteamOS upgrade. And this is great. The last point I want to talk about is related to the speed of upgrade. Buzzite, NixOS, they are known to sometimes take a long time to upgrade because you have to re-download the whole image. There is a lot of things happening. In this specific case scenario, what I noticed is that it's super fast. Upgrading is fast, and on the Steam Deck, it was a breeze. So something to think about also in the future when SteamOS gets released is there is a lot of positive points from this operating system, which I think need to be talked about. Speed of installation and upgrade is definitively a forte for SteamOS. So now, like some little like funny detail I found out when I was playing with the distro itself. So I mentioned earlier like Paru is pre-installed, so you just need to unlock your immutable image and use Paru as you were using Arch, which is pretty awesome because you have access to all the Arch community repo, which is great. The second one was the fact that Cups for managing printer was already installed. So I was like, I'm not willing to print anything from the Steam Deck, but it was there pre-installed, which is interesting. You still had to enable the service itself, but nothing to do. It's a command line for someone who already is used to Linux. Pretty cool. I also noticed there were a Nix folder in the folder tree for you to enjoy Nix package manager. I was like, okay, this is also really cool. And the last point, I think, which was even more interesting, is like when I started to dig into the repo of Valve, I found out that they had the NVIDIA driver within their repo. So it doesn't mean they are working on it. Maybe they are, but I found it was pretty interesting to find like the NVIDIA driver on the Steam Deck operating system, which is an AMD based device. So I was like, okay, maybe they are brewing something there at Valve. I hope one day I'm gonna have the opportunity to talk with Pierre-Loup Griffet, to have him on the show to discuss those little points, maybe one day. But yes, something is cooking over there, that's for sure. Now let's talk about content creation. And here it was also a really good surprise. The first thing I want to say is like I did install OBS via Flatpak. It's not something I do normally, but it was working flawlessly, and I was really surprised about the performance because the Steam Deck was actually able to encode and play video game no problem. So I was like, okay, here we go. So yes, content creation on SteamOS, no problem. Content creation on Steam Deck, yes, you can do it. So obviously, you're not going to play in 4K and record in 4K. But you could definitively run a 720p stream without any issue. Now, the funny part, I was deep into the testing and I had to create my video on my channel, and I decided to install DaVinci Resolve on SteamOS. And there I had like plenty of options because I could install it through Distrobox. I could install it from the AUR. So I'm like, I can choose whatever I want. I was able to successfully like run it via Distrobox. It was a little bit easier than the AUR because the AUR you have to go, I would say like a layer deeper with the AMD situation, ROCm, etc., etc. So I don't want to go too deep into that. But long story short, it was working. I didn't, unfortunately, edit video on it because the machine itself was not able to handle my 4K 60 FPS content, obviously, but it's possible. So SteamOS for content creation, let's go. And the last point, in the Pro, I really need to talk about it. It's like every other service from, a basic distro like Arch are actually running. So I'm thinking right now about Pipewire. Installing my external sound card was just a breeze. Everything was working out of the box. You are running Arch, okay? This is a safe Arch. Like the way I will talk about it, it's a safe Arch. If you were running Arch before, no problem. If you want to learn Arch, I would say like this could be a great opportunity to learn too, because you can unlock your system. If you do the thing like clearly, you won't have any issue. And if you break it, well, you can still boot on the over like immutable image and start again. So yeah, pretty dope. So now let's talk about the negative, because there is still negative related to SteamOS as it is right now. And the first one, obviously, is the fact that there is no official ISO. There is not official support for all the hardware. If you don't have an AMD card in your PC, if you don't know how to flash your SSD drive, you're gonna be in trouble. Like, let's be real. This is not the type of operating system that you will be able to install like finger in the nose, like CachyOS or Nobara or Basite. Like, this is another level. The second issue I had on the Steam Deck itself was when I was in the console or, like the GameScope session with Steam Big Picture, I noticed that I was downloading the shader cache like almost every day. So I don't know if it's a feature. I don't know if I did something wrong, but I would say the experience out of the box was a little bit frustrated. For further test after, and I'm going to make more video about the Steam Deck and comparison between like distro on the Steam Deck. When I tried CachyOS deck or Basite deck, I didn't encounter that. Only on SteamOS, I would have the precompiled like shader, like download every day. I don't know why. The other issue I had, and I'm not sure if it's really related to SteamOS, but maybe more related to Flatpak, there were some hardware acceleration which were not enabled via Flatpak. So I don't use an AMD card, and I'm kind of a noob on this side. Hopefully, like soon, I'm gonna get my hand on the 9070 XT when it's released, and I'm gonna do more tests with AMD. But I noticed that MPV, while running through Flatpak, didn't activate the hardware acceleration. So I had to install like MPV on hard via like the Arch repo for avoiding this issue. So I believe it's going to be a Flatpak issue, and my knowledge related to that, because one, I don't use Flatpak normally, and two, I don't use the AMD card too, but I wanted to share my finding. If you guys have any way to bypass that, I would be really happy to learn. The other issue I found related to SteamOS, and we're going to have more discussion about that, it's kind of like a teaser for another video I'm going to do on the Steam Deck, is that my performance within GameScope versus my performance within KDE was different. So that's all I'm going to say. But to me, it was a big consequence because it means that if you are running the game on KDE Plasma versus switching back to the GameScope session, you won't have the same performance. Okay, so I won't get deep into that because I have a full video on this. But yes, if you are running game, make sure you run them through GameScope. Another little negative I found out is that I couldn't lock my screen while I was running KDE. I do believe there is an option to activate the lock screen within KDE, but this option is only like activated if you validate another option within GameScope. So I know like it's kind of like confusing, and I really hope that there were more interaction between the two of them. But this is something I found out. So it's confusing, but it's not user friendly. I would love like the Valve team to look into it. It's not straightforward. And the latest one, which I think was odd, is like when you install directly an operating system on the Steam Deck, the way like the TTY will show up on the machine, instead of being like horizontal, it's vertical. I know it's not that important, but it kind of like struck me out. I was like, what? But like, why the text is falling down like that versus of being horizontal? I don't know how they could fix that, but yes, I was just odd. But it's not really a cause, but man, I have to find something, okay? All right, so what are my final thoughts on SteamOS in February 2025? I have to say, guys, that, and I'm going to repeat myself, to me, this is the best implementation of Immutable distro on Linux. I really like it because if you like detach yourself of the fact it's Arch, even if maybe I'm an Arch fanboy, but I don't believe I am, to me, it gives you a platform which has the safety net of an Immutable without adding the layer of complexity than, let's say, an XOS or a Fedora Immutable based distro like Kinoite or Bazzite add. And this is what I really like about it. I think this is just awesome. And the way they found it, like giving you multiple options with DistroBox, with Flatpak, with the opportunity to install Nix, Package Manager, or Homebrew, and stay within like the, like user space, which means like, and stay within the partition, which won't be erased when you upgrade everything, is just awesome. So this, I think, they bring something great when it comes to immutability and way to really like push it to the mass. I believe from the standpoint of a new user on Linux, when they're gonna have like an installer for every PC out there, it's gonna be a great experience. Because Bazzite, like, I've seen some feedback. Bazzite is becoming more and more popular, and it's a great distro. Don't get me wrong, but it had sometimes like complexity, right? I think for the pure like console usage, Bazzite is great, right? You stay on the GameScope side, you enjoy your hardware as like a Steam device, kind of. It's great. When you move from the desktop side, it's easy to reach the limitation of Bazzite, depending on what you do on your hardware. So some of you guys, I know it, you're going to be like, hey, I've been using Atomic distro from Fedora, they are great and whatever. I'm not saying the opposite. What I'm saying is like, if you go like further than, we'll say, the basic usage, you might encounter issue. And the inability to really like put your hand under the hood of distro like that can be restrictive. And here I think we have like a better balance in terms of like immutability and safety and ability to tweak. I think they really nailed it, guys. Like that's the feeling I have. And this is what really come out from this all like experience, right? SteamOS, I believe, when it releases, is going to be an awesome operating system. So yes, I'm really impatient to see what it's gonna be, and I hope like you learned something while watching this video. Guys, thank you very much again for all your support. Don't forget to give a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. We did reach 15,000 subscribers yesterday. I'm literally losing my mind. Thank you very much. You guys are the best. For all the one who also supported the channel financially, thank you very much, because without your support, I wouldn't have, the opportunity to get my hand on this baby and give you this content. So, yes, thanks a lot, guys. And that's it. That's all for today. Have a good one and see you in the next video. Bisous, bisous.